Good evening and welcome to UBC News Tonight at 10 p.m. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha. We'll take a look at our top stories of the day.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
United Arab Emirates for Dubai Expo. Nawakoba Jazz for land boards overhaul. In more news, ICT Minister Kabyanga tips Kasese local leaders on peace. And in our sports news, the Civil Board of Trustees grant interim leadership to organize elections. In UBC News Tonight, President Yoweri Museveni wants the issuance of bail to capital offenders revised for equitable justice to the victims as well. He calls for the prioritization of murder offences in the courts of law and Uganda police cleaned. We have details on this story.
President Yoweri Museveni has reiterated that failure to crack down on criminals who killed over 20 Muslim clerics was due to infiltration of Uganda police by criminals.
Police is not fully cleaned. There are still some weevils there. I hear about them, but they will be cleaned.
It is until an attempt to assassinate General Katumba Wamala that Uganda police was able to conduct several arrests.
And the ones who are not arrested are now known. We know them. And we shall get them.
Uganda police made a breakthrough with 2 SMGs and 1 pistol recovered.
Some of the guns were involved in earlier cases. When they come to court, you will hear what they are saying.
On the other hand, security unrest in Greater Masaka, where 26 people lost their lives to machete-wielding attackers, has been neutralized.
Immediately we mobilized our big capacity, and we were assisted by the Wananchi. And in no time, quite a number of suspects have been arrested.
It is against this background that the president put the judiciary in the spotlight for granting capital offense suspects bail.
And we are told that bail is a right. Bail of criminals is a right. How about the rights of the victims?
I think it's based on that presumption and also looking at circumstances of each case that the judge then decides to exercise discretion and grants bail. But we also have many bail applications that have been denied.
Let us talk across the board. Chicken thieves are mixing with the murderers and the petty offenders, those who have committed misdemeanors. They are supposed to be tried quickly and sentenced to community service. The law was passed. So we also have to look at the slowness of our court system, which makes bail all the more urgent.
The president advises the judiciary to prioritize murder offences as the executive embarks on discussing the level of punishment subjected to capital offenders.
Why don't you ensure equality in actions? You killed, you must be killed.
In financial year 2021-2022, the judiciary's budget was enhanced from 199 billion to 376 billion, while security bagged 6.9 trillion. These are the 2 sectors in charge of ensuring justice is realized and investigations carried out, respectively. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News.
Still about President Yoweri Museveni, he has left for the United Arab Emirates to attend the Dubai Expo at the invitation of the government of UAE. Uganda will join over 190 countries and international organizations to participate in the Expo 2020 Dubai from 1st October 2021 to the 31st of March 2022 in Dubai, UAE, 12 months from the scheduled date due to COVID-19 pandemic. The theme of the Expo 2020 Dubai is Connecting Minds, Creating the Future, with 3 sub-themes of mobility, opportunity and sustainability. Uganda is participating under the opportunity sub-theme. The President will tomorrow, October 3rd, 2021, participate in celebrations to mark the Uganda National Day, which is aimed at promoting Uganda at the Expo. Baji Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, will be decorated with Uganda national flag. He will later hold bilateral meetings with the rulers of the United Arab Emirates. The President, Museveni, was seen off at Entebbe International Airport VVIP terminal by the Vice President, Her Excellency Jessica Lupanjiganda's service chiefs. In more news, fraudulent giveaway of public land by district land boards is reported to be on a rise across the country and thus fueling land wrangles. To this fact, the Minister for Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Judith Nabakoba, is warning that she may be compelled to guide the President to either suspend or abolish district land boards and area land committee.
This is a Chiwanyi Primary School located in Chiwanyi Village, Njeru Municipality, Buyukwe District. The 15-acre tract of land has a church and a health center on it. However, the facility's future hangs in the balance as there is an eviction hanging on their neck. During her working tour to the district, the minister in charge of lands, Judith Nabakoba, who was in the company of State Minister for the Office of the Vice President, Diana Mutasingwa, was brought to the attention of this matter. However, these accusations were short-lived as some of the accused, who include local leaders, satisfactorily defended themselves. And for those who could not substantively confirm their tenure on the public land, were arrested.
Police ne RDC engineer mu mukwate abalage ebiwandiiko ebitulaga ekyapa ekyo.
The contested land is also a home to over 800 residents.
We are very relieved because we know that once we have brought the Minister of Lands, Buyukwe district land grabbers are going to run away. And we are very serious as leaders of Buyukwe. As members of parliament, we are going to come out strongly on land grabbing. Land grabbing has been an issue in Buganda, but in this Kisanja, we are coming out strongly to talk about land grabbing. We are coming out strongly to chase land grabbers.
During the minister's visit to the district, it was noted that all these have been fueled by district land boards and area land committees.
These people have been involved in a lot of confusion with allocating land to different people who are not even residents of the area.
We want to put much emphasis when we are screening these committees, most especially the area land committees and district land boards.
Because if somebody is saying they don't know where documents are, then we are in a dilemma. How can you be giving out public land and then you claim that you cannot have access to documents?
Nabakoba warns that the tough actions might be brought on board.
This is not a joking matter. Otherwise, I would be in office doing other things.
In addition to sanctioning of lands officials, Minister Nabakoba has also embarked on the cancellation of all fraudulent land titles issued on public land by district land boards. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
Still about land, a land wrangle in Buekula South Movende district is threatening the fabric of society, with all parties claiming the 175-acre chunk of land. The argument is mainly between Francis Katende and the late Christopher Obey family. Details follow.
Okutandikira kwero suwano kutuka ku waguru ku police nguzi njereri the state ageragera nguzi yentawanya wano.
That is Francis Katende, who is the main protagonist in a land wrangle in which he and the family of the late Christopher Obey are grumbling over 175 acres of land.
Balinga batasoma mateeka. Omusajja yuyo yasoma mateeka chapa. Okawuda ate musomesa abantu. Nze nasoma ku by'ettaka nali musaveera ebyange chapa kiri regional.
This land is in Buekula South Movende district and houses two villages, Njagazi and Gogonya. It took intervention of forces to reduce fatalities on this land that also has several squatters. Several avenues are now being devised to solve this impasse, with the latest involving state house officials that have met the warring parties.
Mungeri yemu abantu baba tebakozeseza amanya tati namba 2 y'eggwanga iramuyita Salim Saleh akandwa naho kakati nange bwe nagenda mukyale yo nembagamba nza akandwa naho nga bagamba alabika ali related ku General Saleh kakati noyo tajja gambako General Saleh mwagagamba nti abettaka ono si akandwa naho bwajja no mumusaba identity card ye mumubuuze amanya g'amatuufu gwani.
The land has been under contention for several years, with several fatalities reported as a result of underhand works that many now believe will cease. In case these out-of-court settlements fail, this land wrangle will be sorted in courts of law, whose process is expected to start later this month.
Moving on from that, the Minister of State for ICT and National Guidance, Godfrey Kabyanga, has urged Kasese district leaders to focus on development and peace of the district. He was officiating at a 2-day training held in Kasese, where leaders were trained on their roles, amplifying the conceptualization of the national vision and peace building and conflict resolution. He sounded a warning to whoever plans to destabilize the peace of the district, thus hindering development.
National guidance is an area that government has emphasized on in a drive to ensure citizens participate in promoting the national vision at the district and sub-county levels. In Kasese district, both appointed and elected leaders have been taken through a 2-day training on their roles as leaders and the vision of the country. State Minister for National Guidance Godfrey Kabyanga urged Kasese district leaders to focus on development and peace for their district as well as the country.
As we come together as a people of different backgrounds, political parties, religions, we are going to move Kasese.
The minister asked Kasese leaders to respect each other for development.
One, if you want to move a district like this one, you must respect one another. Because without respect, there can't be cohesion. And the president is emphasizing the issue of cohesion in government. That's why we are ready to face head-on anybody who brings more division.
The Residents District Commissioner Lieutenant Joe Walusimbi appreciated government's initiative that involves training leaders, saying that the initiative is timely. He urged the leaders to prioritize peace in the district.
Happy to see that this training of my district, because you have ideological differences, more especially in Kasese, you have FDC and NRM.
He, however, asked government to extend the training to all the leaders of the district.
My humble request is the Minister of ICT and National Guidance to immediately come back and train the balance that we may move together on the same boat. More sensitization and mindset change of the people. I think it will take us another step forward.
Jane Kyomugisha, reporting for UBC in Kasese.
Government is being called upon to speed up the process of relocating flood victims living around lake shores and riverbanks. Kayunga District Woman Member of Parliament Ida Nantaba says land is being identified for this purpose with the expectation of government supporting the cause. Nantaba's appeal comes barely weeks since Prime Minister Nabanja visited Kayunga and other affected districts to assess the situation.
It is not yet good news for people living around lake shores and river banks. Whether on Lake Victoria, Lake Choga, Lake Albert or even River Nile, rising water levels continue to cause more alarms than whispers. Not even calls to encourage people vacate such areas have been much successful.
What we are seeing here is that nature is claiming its own territory.
It is a situation that has recently prompted the Prime Minister Robin Nabanja to assess the situation in some areas, including Nakasongola, Kayunga, and Amolata.
This has really affected our budget badly, and therefore we have to look for a way.
Some relief aid has since been sent to some affected areas. The situation is partly blamed on encroachment of the ecosystem.
I don't think these floods are just coming from nowhere. It's an impact of the environmental degradation that is heavily happening elsewhere in the country, and we now have to come in and say no to environmental degradation because it's already impacting on our communities.
This underscores the need for a permanent solution which rotates around relocation.
Because we want these people to be relocated, especially the displaced communities. We want government to find them land such that they can resettle themselves.
To this effect, land is being sourced for this purpose in the central district of Kayunga, with the hope of government giving a helping hand.
Much of our land in Gariraya and Bale has been claimed, and some villages, actually some communities, have totally been swept away, and many people are displaced at the moment.
Rising water levels on lake shores and river banks in Uganda became a cause for concern in early 2019. Houses have since been submerged, families displaced, and businesses destroyed, with over 30 villages and 5,000 persons affected in Kayunga district. Henry Okurut, UBC.
Thank you so much, Henry Okurut, for those updates. Uganda is now among the few countries that can produce latex, rubber, medical and surgical gloves. The surgical gloves are to be manufactured by East African Medical Vitals in Namamve Industrial Park. The Minister of Health, Dr. Jane Ruthacheng, commended the technology of the state-of-the-art company where these gloves are manufactured.
A delegation from the Ministry of Health, led by Minister Dr. Jane Ruthacheng, has paid a courtesy visit to East African Medical Vitals Namamve, where surgical gloves are produced. The delegation consisted of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Dr. Diana Twine, and the Director Health Services Curative, Dr. Charles Olaro. The Managing Director, East African Medical Vitals, Brian Kavuya, thanked National Drug Authority for the technical guidance rendered to them, thus the high level of professionalism in the production of surgical gloves.
This is the only surgical gloves factory in Africa and one of 2 or 3 examination gloves factories in Africa. We have invested a total of $12.7 million to date in a mix of debt and equity. We employ 200 Ugandans, which will increase to 258 by the end of this financial year. And our capacity is 12,000 pieces of gloves per hour.
Brian Kavia says they have started successful production of surgical and examination gloves. East African Medical Vitals has the capacity to produce latex and nitrile gloves and are producing powder-free and examinable gloves.
Gone are the days when we as a country must resign ourselves to powdered surgical and examination gloves, which are banned in the United States, the UK, Germany, and other developed European countries. We are able to produce them and make sure that whatever concerns there are, and there's some literature on it, or regarding powdered gloves, we are able to make sure that our country doesn't need to go through this.
Ben Kavia, a board member, East African Medical Vitals, says the system to move and purchase surgical gloves is more difficult than buying materials needed in the production.
But if there was National Forest Authority started the campaign, show the difference between eucalyptus and rubber, I'm very sure Ugandans will grow rubber, which will be tapped for 25 years. It would be more beneficial than a eucalyptus or even pine.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Jane Rotha Cheng, congratulated East African Medical Vitals for the great milestone, saying it is high time we produced our own.
Congratulations. We are proud Ugandans. When we step here, we feel proud. And I can tell you, because of the pride we have, we will tell the story, not only to Ugandans, but to the world, that in Uganda we have our own industry that manufactures gloves.
Jane Rotha Cheng says there is need to get more products being manufactured with an aim of capturing the outside world. The team noted that East African Medical Vitals has endeavored to meet all the international standards. Sudat Kaye, UBC.
Parents with autistic children have been urged to take full responsibility of their children by enabling them explore the inborn talents. The directors, Noah Ak, our Disability Center in Chitubulu along Entebbe Road, Nakato Angela, has expressed fear of the increasing burden during this period of COVID-19. She says during the COVID-19 situation, parents are increasingly disowning their children with autism.
Noah's Ark, a disability center, hosts over 76 students with neurological disorders, which presents autism spectrum disorder symptoms. The facility's capacity reached this level due to the increasing parents who disown their children after realizing any disability symptoms.
The biggest challenge was the parents throwing in kids every day. Because before COVID, we had only 50 kids. But by now, as I talk, we're in 70s, which means so many parents are back.
To manage the increasing number, Nakato Angela, director of the facility, depends largely on donations from the well-wishers through public campaigns and fundraising.
I'm using 20 workers. Most of them need payment. You need to pay the matrons, you need to pay the cooks, you need to pay the teachers, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, sign language teacher. They all need payment. So I'm calling also upon people who are there, who can even volunteer. Someone can be having a skill in disability. Come join me, let's make a difference.
Noah's Ark, a disability center, is facing a challenge of facility ownership as the landlord is threatening to evict them.
I have a problem of paying this land, so I'm calling upon every well-wisher. Come stand with me, let us pay off this land. When we pay it off, these children will have a home forever. Even I go away, I know that these kids will remain being here and they will have a home.
Several talents can be realized among children with neurological disorders.
Please, please stop throwing away your kids. A child with disability is not a curse. A child with disability needs to be loved. A child with disability can learn something and makes a difference.
They are trained to do particular skills. These skills depends on the degree of damage. Some of them, as you've heard, they can do some crafting. Others can do some art, they can draw, Others can be good at digits.
The prevalence of autism spectrum disorder symptoms is attracting communities towards the common cause of a caring heart. Vermilion Socialite Group has raised over 60 million through social media campaigns to extend the helping hand.
They need attention, they need money, they need feeding, they need good education, good caregiving, because they are so much marginalized by society. Not so many people know exactly what the autism spectrum disorder is. People think that it is witchcraft.
Experts advise parents to always seek medical attention when explicitly developmental milestones of their children in their early stages. Abdul Nasir Lubwama, Lydia Chomukama for UBC News.
In more news, Parliament Committee on HIV and other related matters has visited Arua and Yumbe to assess the impact of COVID-19 on HIV and AIDS service delivery and HIV patients. They travelled to BDBD refugee settlement and met with parents, patients, and officials from different NGOs. They were informed of the difficulties and also other challenges refugees face. BDBD Refugee Settlement is a refugee camp in Yumbe district with over 270,000 South Sudan refugees fleeing the ongoing civil war as of early 2017.
Clients who are HIV positive but yet have contracted COVID, it has sounded to be more severe in HIV clients. To the extent that some of them have been referred to referral points for more management. In some recommendations which I'm going to give down here, I would actually recommend, whereas government has priorities of the populations that say these ones should be vaccinated first, could government also put HIV clients also be among the priority populations to be vaccinated, so that we avoid the severity of this infection in case.
So close to HIV positive people, but the little knowledge we have, we are unable. If honorable members can introduce something whereby we acquire more knowledge, because we are the free who can interact with the community and the health facilities. So sort of skills and knowledge to give a good service. Due to illiteracy most of our community have, they misunderstood the corona, they ignore, whereby they said when if you go for health facility, you will be taken to quarantine center. So all diseases they affect, they minimize treating them at their homes, whereby we expert client, we do give little knowledge we have, so it's unable to bring them to the facility to get the services.
Seen that one of the reports was that because of those disruptions, viral load significantly dropped. When viral load drops, suppression, when that drops, it means that even when people are on ARVs, they can easily transmit HIV to their sexual partners. So this
Our appeal to the government is, the people have expressed challenges, and one of the core challenges is that as they keep swallowing the ARV, they find difficulties in feeding because some of them are refugees, and they said the ratio that has been supplied to them has been reduced. And then the host community is saying that because of not being skilled or economically empowered, they find difficulties in their livelihood. If government can come in and at least provide them with the economical empowerment, skilling, so that they can improve on their livelihood, and then the food ratio that has been given to refugees, if it can amply and adequately be increased so that they can sustain their consistent drug admission.
We have come to find out that during the COVID lockdown, there was difficulty in accessing the antiretroviral drugs, and not only those, but also difficulties in accessing medical services, because people were not allowed to move. There was no inter-district movement. Accessibility has been one of the biggest challenges of these services. And then also number two is people during lockdown, their livelihood, the sources of their livelihood were also some of them locked up, where people were unable to support themselves because of the challenges of movement, that their businesses were locked up. And so as some of them were swallowing drugs They have also told us that they were unable to keep up with the nutrition and the diet.
Veteran Uganda Christian University lecturer and mentor Okoko Obomba has been laid to rest at his ancestral home in Jaga, Nebi. He was hailed for his great contribution to the journalism profession in Uganda. We have details on this story.
It was an outpouring of grief as Okoko Obomba was led to his final resting house at his ancestors' burial ground in Jaga, Nebi. Professor Monica Chibita, who represented Uganda Christian University, where the deceased had served for a long time, paid glowing tribute to him.
First of all, he was our bridge with the industry because he oversaw the internship program. So we considered him our bridge with the industry. He spoke with every HR person in every major media house that we sent interns to. That was very important. The other thing is people looked up to him as a person who had been there, done that. He, Ben Bella, Mr. Senoga, and a few other people who worked at the time when only daring people did journalism.
Ali Oduka, who studied and worked with the late Okoko Obomba, said that he was among those who laid the foundation of modern professional journalism in the country. He explains the existing situation where Obomba started out.
It was a situation of learning on the job, and through that, and through the Institute of IPA, or Institute of Public Administration, where some of them happened to go and develop their trade, news in Uganda became more pronounced. I can say it became better.
The grieving family pointed out that Obomba had a later say to him beyond the serious lecture.
We pray that the Lord strengthens the family he left behind. Now, governing is striving to strengthen the health system, especially regional referral hospitals, in regards to the management and treatment of COVID-19. The major emphasis is being put on setting up more COVID-19 treatment units, installation of more oxygen production plants, and retooling of health workers.
As Ugandans continue to nurse the financial and emotional scars, particularly for the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic, health experts have predicted a third wave, which they say could be worse.
Projections from our scientists show that the third wave of the pandemic is likely to peak at 4,000 laboratory-confirmed cases per day. This is over 2 times higher than the second wave. This means that 15% of the patients will require admission at the health facility, and about 9,331 patients may require high dependency units or intensive care unit admissions.
Our visit to selected regional referral hospitals that include Masaka and Mbarara shows that the Ministry of Health is rethinking the management and the treatment of COVID-19, given lessons learned from the second wave.
Mbarara is one of those hospitals gazetted to handle and treat COVID-19 in this southwestern region, and we have done so. So even when we are talking of the third wave that people are talking about, we are ready because, first of all, this hospital is happy that we constructed even an extra COVID unit that will be housing about 60 more very, very sick patients. That is in addition to the 40 that we already have. So if we can be able to have 100 beds, that would be like we are very, very prepared. Secondly, the Ministry of Health, through the Permanent Secretary, they've sent over 50 health workers here in this hospital, including 7 doctors, to manage COVID. Therefore, that is also a very good step.
Another critical issue that is being looked at keenly is the production of medical oxygen that became scarce, especially during the second wave, as health facilities choked on critically ill COVID-19 patients.
Produce oxygen. One of them is directed to some of these areas like COVID-19 unit, but also ICUs in the area. Then we have another plant which is like a buffer for the other one. So, but we also have over 100 cylinders, at least 120, which we keep filling in case there is a problem with the plant. We have a backup for cylinder oxygen, which is in cylinders. Now, when you look at that, it's like, yes, we have the plants are working, oxygen plants, but also we get more oxygen. We have been getting it from town here at Mavesa factory. In case that has a problem, we get oxygen from Kampala, but that is in addition to the plants we have. I'm also being told that the new COVID unit which we have constructed, the ministry is going to give us another plant so that they become 3.
So we've commissioned the construction of another oxygen plant. So the structure for the plant, the construction works are beginning, and around the 15th of October we shall be receiving another oxygen plant bought for us by UNICEF, and I think it will be installed around the first week of November. So by the second week of November we shall be having a plant which has a capacity which is double the one that we've been having. So if you are to go with the 30 cylinders that we've been producing, we shall be adding another 60 cylinders, which will be 90 every day.
Some of the patients testify that the reason for their being severely affected by COVID-19 was the delay in seeking appropriate treatment.
Naye mukujja nasooka kubeerako waka nga nfuna ku bujjanjabi. Ne badokita baali banzijanjaba mu butuufu baali tebamanyi kiki kye bajjanjaba. Kuba bajjanjaba ne bajjanjaba oluvannyuma lwa wiiki emu nagenda okuwulira nga si kyassa.
Obulwadde buno buluma kubanga sibulwalangako lulusoose naye bukwata buli buba busanze ndoza damage. Banze ntandika bwasooka mutwe lusujja omuliro nempulira emimiro gino nitaka okukozesa ku ddagala kakati netaka okwekuba mu lubuto naye yagenda okubanga asuuse ate amawuggwe ne geekwata kati bunaku bali ku mawuggwe.
Some of these patients were among those who disputed the existence of COVID-19.
Abantu abasinga mu nnyendo baali bawakana nga nange mwendi nga tuwakana nti COVID taliiyo, naye mu butuufu abasawo be nali neesiga banzijanjaba mpaka we baalemererwa.
Mbarara Regional Referral Hospital handled 1,413 COVID-19 patients in both the first and second wave, admitted 661, discharged 423, and recorded 160 deaths in the second wave as compared to 46 in the first wave. By press time, Mbarara Regional Referral Hospital had 4 COVID-19 patients still on admission and 13 on home-based care, while Masaka had 5 patients.
Our status as per now, we have 5 patients who are inside. We have one who is in severe shape, then the other ones are in moderate form. So as per now, we are trying to battle our last patients here. But still, there is COVID in the communities because we have patients who are in home-based care as I talk right now. These are patients we are monitoring from home and they are still having COVID. So I think COVID is still there. So what we need to do is let us continue putting on our mask. People who are not yet vaccinated, they should go and vaccinate, especially the people who are at high risk.
As of 30th September 2021, the country had 115 new COVID-19 cases with a positivity rate of 2.8% with no new registered deaths. Diana Kute, UBC.
Moving on from that, authorities in Buikwe District want Kenya and Uganda leaders to intervene in the campaign against female genital mutilation. We have details on this story.
Buikwe District Community Development Officer Cheroto Francis says, though sensitization has been undertaken to curb the female genital mutilation vice, stringent measures have to be undertaken against perpetrators who hide in Kenya and sneak to Uganda during the night and take Ugandan young girls and circumcise them.
Girls can travel into Kenya with the disguise that they are going to get employment. Commonly at a place called Kabenguria. They can go and stay there for 3-4 years, coming back only to understand that they also undertook FGM across. Those are challenging. On the other southern part of this district, it has a very thick forest, and they can easily sneak, carry out the practice, come out.
Joshua Okorot, who represented the young generation and affected parties, urged stakeholders to intensify sensitization campaigns against female genital mutilation, but also urged the minister to prioritize on construction of a polytechnic school for the FGM victim to equip them with skills for self-sustenance.
Of constructing a polytechnic in Riwa to cater for school dropouts in offering technical know-how. This will help in fighting FGM.
Meanwhile, Hajat Farida Chimbowa, the National Women Council chairperson, condemned a section of parents who give away their young girls in exchange for dowries after those girls undergo circumcision.
In them, it is like a qualification to marriage. And when they go into marriage, when they get pregnant, they cannot have a normal delivery. They have to be, they have to undergo a cesarean section, which services are not here. I think as Women's Council, we need to engage the women leaders. We train them to empower them with confidence and information regarding FGM and the challenges that have been highlighted here.
She revealed that her council is to engage women in the region against the vice. The Minister of State for Gender, Peace Motozo, says her ministry aims at ending the FGM vice and pledged to establish a radio through which to undertake a campaign and strengthen information dissemination. She promised to construct a secondary school in Riwo Town Council, one of the FGM hotspots.
So, we shall ensure that we construct a secondary school, especially for this sub-county, where FGM has been at a high level because of the forest border. We have constituted a task force with our Kenyan counterparts to struggle together and end FGM. Once we have established those, we are going to put up a court of law to reprimand whoever is perpetrating FGM.
Now, residents and business people who use Kayunga Zirowe Chichusa Luwero Road have today threatened to undress themselves and plant banana stems in the same road as a way of expressing their dissatisfaction of the poor state of the road. Details follow.
Concerned residents say there are increased accidents on the road resulting from its poor state, hence calling upon the government to intervene. The Chichusa Road is used by different business people, including heavy trucks carrying sugarcane from Busoga region to factories in Semuto, Luwero like Chinyara, Victoria Sugar, among other factories.
Government webanga yona idinti engudo baditereze tukolere ku lugudo nze kyendowooza motoka buli kaseera digwa kyetaaze gavumenti eide tulumunkirire etuwambe ku luguudo olwo embeera mbi saawa ebyamaguzi tibikatambula bulungi olw'enjira owanditambulire esaawa enamba oyinza otambula esaawa nga 3 tulina.
They are now calling upon the government to intervene over the matter, stressing they are also taxpayers.
Mulanga guno butuke jeri etuyambe etukolere oluguudo olwo twalusobola okufisanga kwa akasente ababikado byagwa beyi aye buli bantu buli lutu yokuleeta ebikado olikukanika emotoka which means n'abaana banairemu okusoma tunaba tuzya sente somesa abaana.
Relatedly, sugarcane growers in Masindi district and the surrounding areas have expressed concern over security officers stopping them from selling their sugarcane to factories of their choices.
Anti kati ebikajjo osanga abalimi abamu waliwo balimi bannaffe babadde ng'eyo nga ebikajjo babitema butemi ne babyokya nga factory tebitwala kubanga bonna baba bali loaded nga bajjudde so nga tebabitwala kati awo n'osanga omuntu ebikajjo biri myezi 4 tebakyabyetaaga awo nga baba balina kubitema ne babyokya ate n'olinda oluddako jjukira oteekamu ssente zo ne bakoola n'oteekamu ezo ebigimusa NPK urea ezo zonna ssente ziba zikusala so tetumanyi naye nga olaba ebikajjo ogenda osanga nga balinga abakuguze n'emitwalo 5 mitwalo 4 kati singa oba tolina mmotoka okozesa zino eza kampuni kwegamba era oba tolina kyakukola.
They have tasked the authority to help them over the zoning practice, which they emphasize doesn't help them.
Delay in harvesting. You see, with sugarcane, at first we thought the farmers could get money at once because it is bump harvest. You harvest your sugarcane, then you get money at once, which you can use for bigger thing, either buying a car or buying land, such things. But it has become now a problem whereby the farmers can go up to 2 years when cutting their maize. So what we are advising the farmers, they should go diversification. They should grow other crops. Especially me here, I normally say so maize. Maize is a crop which has never failed.
We'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with business stories, including a livestock farm in Bara that is now a model farm for so many because of how much money is made.
Today in history.
On the 2nd of October 1975, then President of Uganda, Idi Amin Dada, addressed the 30th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Amin addressed the assembly as the chairman of the Organization of African Unity, now the African Union. In his speech, Amin attacked Zionism and Israel's suspension of the Palestinians and Arabs in the Middle East. And today was that day in history.
I smile when I think of you, Uganda, my home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda, my home. Oh, my Uganda.
I know, with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together, my home. On my heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey, mama.
At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Vaccinated today so we can get closer to the normal way of life. Echa COVID-19 chija kugwa.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy. but it was costly until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
My home, I smile when I think of you, Uganda. My home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda. My home, oh my Uganda.
I know with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home, under the sun so bright, under the moon at night, on my heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey, mama.
At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. Now, a dairy farm owned by a lady and her children in Barra has become a model farm with hundreds of farmers flocking it daily to acquire modern livestock management skills. Ruberevya Dairy Investment, a family farm owned by Philomena Kemijumbi Nshangano, started way back in 1977 with a goal to make money through breeding and selling livestock. Now, Ruberevya Dairy Investment is a medium-sized family farm sitting on 80 hectares in the sub-county of Mbara district.
Next story.
We're so sorry about that. We'll be giving you more details on that beautiful story. Now, the government has partnered with United Arab Emirates investors to address unemployment. Kampala Minister Minsa Kabanda says that at least 5,000 jobs have been secured to address youth unemployment. This was at a press briefing at Media Center in Kampala.
Kampala Affairs Minister Minsa Kabanda says government is addressing the voice of alleged harassment of girls working in the United Arab Emirates and other foreign countries. Kabanda says they are setting up a special desk to handle complaints related to mistreatment of Ugandans in external job placement.
We are going to take more girls and boys to Saudi Arabia for labor. And this time, as I've told you, we are going to supervise, we are going to monitor, we are going to see where they are going, and we are going to look around and see. At least we are going to put a desk where they can register their complaints.
Kabanda also noted that her ministry is ready to work with the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development to address the safety of persons in employment.
We have in this regard made arrangements that my colleagues in the Ministry of Labour, together with me, will visit Riyadh and be hosted by our friend Mr. Ali to do an on-spot inspection of where our youths will be going.
The minister adds that they are to ensure that all the youth taken to work retain their phones so that they are able to communicate in case of a scary situation. Kabanda says they are working with the Chief Executive Officer, Inga's group of companies in Saudi Arabia, Ali Saleh Othman, to secure jobs for the youth.
Mr. Ali, together with our local recruitment companies, is looking at recruiting about 5,000 youths for the start. especially from the areas of Kampala and metropolitan area.
Minister for Kampala Affairs Misa Kabanda also appealed to Kampala metropolitan area and other places to tap into these opportunities for better livelihoods.
Those are going everywhere depending on how educated you are. So, but this time we're taking these ones, desperate children who have nowhere to go. I think it's better we take them and they work, they come back with capital, then they invest in Kampala or in Uganda. Because as I've told you, Kampala, we have no gardens. We have nothing apart from border, going for taxes, the boys, going for house girls. Instead of giving 100,000 here, you can go to Saudi Arabia and earn at least 1 million or 900,000.
This was at a press briefing held at Uganda Media Center in Kampala. Asimo David compiled this report for UBC.
My home, I smile when I think of you, Uganda. My home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda. My home, oh my Uganda.
I know with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home, under the sun so bright, under the moon at night, on my heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey, mama.
At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Get vaccinated today so we can get closer to the normal way of life. Echa COVID-19 chija kugwa.
From the international scene, Chinese President Xi Jinping gave a welcome speech via video link for the opening of the China Pavilion at the Expo 2020 Dubai in the United Arab Emirates on Friday. Covering an area of 4,636 square meters, the Light of China Pavilion, shaped like a traditional Chinese lantern, is one of the largest at the Expo 2020 Dubai.
Chinese President Xi Jinping sent his greetings for the opening of Expo 2020 Dubai. In a video message, Xi called the gathering a great way for countries to showcase their cultures and strengthen cooperation. He repeated China's call for all countries to work towards building a community with a shared future for mankind.
女士们、先生们、朋友们，欢迎大家光临中国馆。阿联酋迪拜世博会 是在中东地区举办的首届世博会，各国围绕沟通思想、创造未来这一主题，展现经济社会发展理念和成就，加强对话合作，具有重要意义。我们所处的时代充满挑战，也充满希望。人类社会应该向何处去？中方倡议 世界各国人民一道努力，回应时代呼唤，加强全球治理，以创新引领发展，朝着构建 人类命运共同体的方向不断迈进。中国馆以构建人类命运共同体、创新和机遇为主题，展示中国在航天探索、信息技术、现代交通、人工智能、智慧生活等领域的成果。中国愿同各国加强交流合作，把握创新发展机遇，为推动构建人类命运共同体积极努力。祝迪拜世博会。
Sports Club Villa Board of Trustees has highlighted its position at the club, especially in regards to upcoming elections. This was at a press conference addressed by the Board of Trustees Chairperson Gerald Sendaula at the CDO offices in Kamoche. Details for them.
The chairperson.
The state of affairs at Sports Club Villa is a cause of concern to many football lovers in this country.
Thank you.
The club that has been under interim leadership for 3 years organized a foiled election in August after a court injunction stopped the process. Court then advised fresh elections which were earlier scheduled under the auspices of Federation of Uganda Football Associations for 23rd this month. The Federation reasons that with the club at dire straits, chances of being licensed for the upcoming season are minimal. This has rubbed the club's Board of Trustees the wrong way because to them a further 3 months were granted to the interim to carry the club forward.
We want to have elections. For us as trustees, I said, it should not be our duty to get engaged in the day-to-day running of the club. It should be the elected members that should be responsible for the day-to-day running of the club. But as trustees, the owners, the founders, put confidence in us because they know we are committed to the club. And we are not just going to say, well, to whom it may concern. No, we want to be sure that the club is properly and running in the interest of its members, in the interest of those who founded it, and for reasons they did the founding of the...
The Board of Trustees has since Afofa's intervention announced Brenda Nambali was the lady who ironically sought the injunction on the elections as the new club's chief executive officer.
Administrative changes. Following the lapse of employment agreement of So Mubiru, a new CEO, Nambalirwa Brenda Kauma, has been appointed.
Sports Club Villa's Board of Trustees is of 7 members, including Omar Mandela, Dusman Kabega, Moses Matovu, Fred Kauma, Franco Mugabe, and William Unkemba. But despite all the troubles at the club, the sporting department is up and running under new management and has today beaten a West Nile-based entity, Onduparaka 3-2, during a friendly match at Uganda Matters High School playground in Lubaga. John Barnes, Sentamu, reporting.
Thank you so much for watching UBC News tonight. We'll take one final look at the headlines.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
President Yoweri Museveni is in United Arab Emirates for Dubai Expo. Nabako budgets for land boards overhaul. We also had the ICT Minister Kabyanga tipping Kasese local leaders on peace. And in our sports news, the Villa Board of Trustees granted interim leadership to organize elections.
was brought to you by
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Well, thank you so much for watching UBC News tonight. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha, and have a good night.
Yes, a very good evening to you. Well, I'm hoping you've had a good start off into the weekend, especially with the weather forecasts making your plans early in advance. Well, welcome to tonight's weather report. My name is Molin Kenyana. Let's start it off with our 24-hour report. Now, according to the available data, we did see heavy rains coming in from Kampala from last evening into the night, and that was totaling up to 74 millimeters. We also had 21 from Kotido, and Soroti was reporting 17.3 millimeters. Now, let's take a look at our satellite analysis. We still have those moist southeasterly winds that are coming in from the Indian Ocean towards the country, and those are contributing to the wet weather activities that we have, especially across eastern Uganda as well as parts of the north. At the same time, we also see the part of the Congo air mass that is advancing towards the country, and that is the rainmaker for the rains across parts of western sector. Tomorrow in the morning, we will start off with wet weather activities, mostly in form of scattered showers. Those will be across the central and western parts of Lake Victoria, as well as also parts of northern Uganda and West Nile. But the rest of the country will start off with mostly a mix of clouds and sunshine. Now, later, as the day progresses, we will start to see more rains developing across western Uganda, extending all the way through the central as well as the Lake Victoria Basin, and also across the Karamoja region. But we shall see a clearing trend across northern Uganda as well as West Nile, with sunny intervals. Our daytime highs, we're forecasting a maximum of 27. That will be across Kampala. Jinja and Tororo, you will be at 28. And also we're forecasting a warm day across Karamoja region with a maximum of 30. Still cold weather forecast for Kabale Highlands. We will see temperatures going up to 23 degrees centigrade. Now we take you through some of the world cities that we have for you. We're forecasting rainy conditions for Mumbai as well as Zanzibar, and sunny intervals are forecast for Doha with temperatures going up to 36, quite hot weather over there. And also for Dubai, still a sunny day is forecast with temperatures rising up to 39, and also we're forecasting sunny intervals that will be across Mombasa. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's weather report. Thank you very much for the company. Wishing you a nice weekend.
Vaccinated today so we can get closer to the normal way of life. Echa COVID-19 chija kugwa.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly. Until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.